All right, we are going live here. All right, Aaron, my man, welcome to today's success story. You got Aaron Hahn from Hahn Builders. Super pumped to have you here, brother, and for you to be sharing some of your insights on how you went from, almost 1.2 million dollars in sales in 2018. You were in the hole, minus $24,000 to in 2019, finishing it up with actually a lot less sales, $948,000 in sales, and 67K in profit in your hand, like a gap of like 121,000, and a lot of other things. But let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be covering off today, guys. So we're going to be talking about like what were some of the struggles that Aaron had. It's just going to be short and sweet, like maybe 30 minutes, guys. And we're going to talk about what were the struggles, what were the strategies he used that you guys can use and apply, and how there's so many struggles that I think contractors have that they think they're all alone in having those struggles. And I think you're going to realize today that that's not the case. You'll be able to take some of these strategies today and apply them. So welcome, Aaron. Tell us a little bit about yourself, brother. Tell us a little bit about your business, about your fam.
Yeah, I'm a general contractor and builder. We do custom renovations and additions, a little bit of new construction. My wife and I run the business together. She does all the human resources and all the finances and CFO and human resource manager, you could call her. This year my role's changed a little bit. I'm back into the project management, sales and operations. And so between her and I, we run our company together. We got a
great man. You got a fam, you got some kids.
Yeah, I got a 14-year-old son and an almost 13-year-old daughter. So there's another another chapter of life that's opening up with teenagers. So
I know, man. I know. Time just flies. So here's what we want to get right into really quickly here for everybody listening in. And again, this is all about bringing to you guys insights. To all you champion CEOs out there, for anybody listening in as to how you can improve your business, how you can take it to the next level, and how you're not alone. So you guys are going to get some specific strategies. So let's just talk about some of the challenges. So in 2018, you wrapped up the year. You're like 1.1 million, 1.2 million.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you had. Like, what were some of the specific things that we want to make sure we cover off today as far as those challenges?
Well, one of the things is 2018 was an extremely difficult year. A lot of chaos, a big negative impact on me emotionally with my mental health, on my marriage, on my family. It was really trying, but I put myself into that position, not understanding my numbers and my value kind of hand in hand. My conversion rate was super high. So 2018, with a big landmark project and everything else at a high conversion rate, I won too much work. So trying to manage the guys through that, and it just created a perfect storm for inefficiency. That's for sure, with time and team.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we want to cover off today is, and guys, I think this is one of the most important points. So I'm just going to highlight some of these key points related to what Aaron has just been saying, which is more sales. Okay, seems to be the common theme that I hear over and over and over, and I think that was in your mind as well, Aaron. That hey, I need to get more sales. I need to get more sales. If I want to make more money, I need to get more sales. And I want you guys to understand that one of the key principles today is that you're going to learn that getting more sales, guys, is not the focus. Okay. We're going to talk about how critical it is that you actually work from a different angle. Okay. And how do you approach that from a profitability perspective? I think one of the other things, Aaron, is, when you bring on too much work, I think one of the challenges as well was like not having the foresight to know that this was happening.
Yeah, definitely. things compounded. I mean, yeah, construction, there needs to be a little bit of wiggle room in the schedules, but the way that the projects went and the situations that we went through and bad decisions that I made in terms of mismanagement or allocation of the wrong sub trades to the right job or the right job to the wrong sub trades, however you want to put it.
Yep.
Really put me in an extremely challenging position, not only where I wasn't making money, but where I was literally starting to lose your
mind, right?
Lost a big chunk of my mind.
Yeah.
And then everybody else in my life just is collateral damage.
Totally, man. So, so a couple things, guys, is I want you to understand that the first thing that you got to focus in on, and we're going to be talking about this today, is that one of the biggest problems is if you're focusing on sales and that's your core focus, there's a major problem with that. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is, if you're not managing what's coming in from the number of quotes that are coming in to, making sure that you're tracking along the way what your capacity is. We're going to talk about that as well. That in itself is a major, major problem. Okay, so we got to manage our capacity. We're going to talk about that as well. And managing our capacity is beyond just managing our capacity as far as what our systems and what our crews can handle. It's also what our mind can handle, right? Okay. So I guess the other key thing that I wanted to touch on as well is how critical it is. I think a lot of people are scared of looking at their numbers. Was that, knowing your numbers, was that a problem, Aaron?
Yeah, it was a problem. And even almost worse than not knowing your numbers is knowing numbers that aren't right and making decisions that are not accurate. That's the one advantage that I did have when I was able to, understand that I need to, or that Rebecca and I need to, we need to redirect this business to make money was, what numbers do we need to be looking at? How do those numbers impact? How do they impact us actually making money? So there's, you can look at the impact of money coming in, so you can pricing, and you can also look at the impact of money going out, your cost of goods sold. And that was identified when Rebecca started running these reports for us, that our cost of goods sold was out of hand, that was the biggest area for us to make improvement with, was our cost of goods sold.
Okay, so let's start getting into this. I think I know the cost of goods sold, knowing your numbers, knowing your capacity. Also, it's a direct correlation to, what are the key things that you need to learn about quoting, from knowing what numbers to look at when you're quoting to knowing how to manage those numbers. So let's talk about some of these things. So first and foremost, let's get into where you ended up in 2019. So you went from, just to reiterate, you went from let's just call it 1.2 million. Okay, it was like 1.17 or something. But let's just say 1.2 meg minus, in the hole, $54,000 to, in 2019, $948,000 in sales. What do you have the percentage on that? What was the difference in sales percentage?
I don't have the difference I could do the math.
It's like 25% or something like that.
$216,000 worth of difference. That's what.
Right. How much? 200 and what?
216,000.
Okay, so guys, get this. So he went from $216,000 less in sales. Okay, this is the point. This is why you want to pay attention. $216,000 less in sales, and ended up with $67,000 more. But here's the thing. It's not just the 67. It's the gap between the two. That's $121,000 delta, guys, in profits. Everybody pay attention. It's huge, massive. Okay, so let's talk about one of the first things. Let's talk about the one of the
19% less work.
How much?
19%.
There you go. 19% less work. Okay, so when we're looking at this, my man, let's talk about what were some of the the changes that had to happen. So let's just go through some of those changes.
So one of the changes that had to happen is we had to figure out how to drive or get our cost of goods sold down. So Rebecca made like a spreadsheet of all our cost of goods sold, and our biggest ticket items are obviously our labor. We do all our carpentry, demolition, structural, framing, and finish work.
Yep.
In-house with a bunch of exterior stuff as well. So we rely very heavily on our manpower for a lot of projects.
Yep.
So that's a cost of goods sold. And then the other ones are basically like sub-trades and materials.
Right.
So the employees being our biggest cost of goods sold became our focus first of how do we get that cost down.
Yep.
And that was identified with how we do our timesheets, that the guys are taking, they're going to too many jobs in one day, going to the material supply store too many times in one day. They're going to the job site and they're not, they're doing A, B, C, and E, but they're not doing D because, D wasn't on the list, but it was only talked about, like, a million reasons why. So then they got to go back 2 days later to do the D because the guy's coming the next day. It was just, there's lots of areas to work on improving the efficiency of the team.
So like, I think something that I just want to highlight here is that a lot of times I'll hear, really, like, does that kind of thing really make that big of a difference? Like having the guys, go to 2 jobs in a day versus 1, or, going to having to pick up material. Okay. Like, hey, maybe somebody's listening and going, yeah, I get it. Okay. But it's going to really have that big of an impact. Tell us a little bit about that.
Makes a huge impact. So one of the things, actually Rebecca identified it with all these material runs, is that it would be a lot more efficient. And you guys have this actually in your organizational chart, like your policies manual, that big one that Profit for God Trackers has. So we got an entry level position as a material runner labor. So then our higher paid labor guys, or our carpenters, we're not paying a carpenter, $25, $30 an hour to go to the supply store and pick up 2x4s. We're paying a guy minimum wage to go to the supply store and pick up the 2x4s. The other thing that we did is, Rebecca, we always do a Monday meeting and a Friday follow-up, but the Monday meetings are very tactile. Like, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. This is where we need to be at the end of the week.
And let's just pause for a second.
Yeah.
What was it like? What was it like not having those meetings, that tight structure?
It was kind of like you throw the ball and you hope they're going to catch it. Mm-hmm. Right? You're throwing it and you're hoping they're going to catch it. You're hoping that they know where they need to be to catch it. And it's roughly communicated somewhere down over there. But that creates the opportunity to drop the ball a lot of times.
So look at some of these changes, guys. So like, here's over on the flip side of the fence. So Aaron, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So guys, over here, let's just talk about this. So let's look at your realization of, the right number of jobs. So what were some of the changes you did to realize, like, wait a second, I'm getting, 2018, we did all this work. And by the way, 2018, you'd increased your sales quite dramatically from 2017, true?
You know what, actually, I don't actually know that. They were, I believe they're actually around the same.
Oh, they were, okay. Okay.
Maybe a little bit more, but yeah, for the past couple of years, it's always kind of been around that zone. Okay.
So what when you looked at this, like the number of jobs, like what were some of the changes you made to go from too many jobs to, hey, here's the right number of jobs? What were some of the things that you did?
Well, it was increasing my filtering process.
Yeah. Okay. So
the quotes, so I was only quoting jobs that that would fit the parameters that I needed the projects to be in terms of like timeline and budget and client, like a whole.
Totally. So a Profit for Contractors, you use one of the templates you leverage was Filter Fast, right? Filter Fast, which, guys, it's so critical here. Okay, it's not the amount of sales you get; it is most importantly It is the quality of the sales that you get. Okay?
Yeah.
So, you know, when you look at this, you really cranked up your filter. I mean, let's talk about like some numbers here. Your conversion rates changed, right? You were saying there in 2018, you're winning a lot more work. But
Yeah, in 2018, I'm just looking at my whiteboard over here right now, was in 2018, I won like 58% of the projects I quoted.
So 2018, so here's an example, guys. So 2018, you won how many? 58%?
Yeah.
Okay. In 2019, increasing that filter, what was the conversion rate?
27%.
Okay, guys, everybody listening in. That is, okay, that is almost, okay, that's almost a 50% delta.
Yeah.
Now, people are like, what? Why would I want to decrease that? What was the outcome that you got? Like, describe to me the difference in the client.
The difference in the client is that they're not penny pinching clients.
Yes.
You know, where I have to do a change order, you know, every 2 days because, well, I don't know if I want, you know, that $300, or you included this in the quote, but now my brother's going to do that for me. So you can take the switch, putting the switch plates out of on the electrical, like nickel and diamond kind of thing. So I have better clients with better expectation levels, and they know that they're hiring you know, a professional contractor, and they're willing to pay for that because they want their project to start on time. They want it to complete on time. They want, you know, the, you know, the budget to be, or the quote not to change 5 times throughout the project, that, you know, the specificity, all of that stuff.
And so, you know, you think about this, like, look at the domino effect, right? So here your sales went down, your profits went up, and not just as a percentage, but money in your hand went up dramatically, right? Okay.
No.
So everybody listening in, if you're not filtering fast, if you don't have a filter fast process, and Aaron, when does this filter fast process, does it start like, you know, at the quoting stage, or does it start right from the phone call, the first email?
Yeah. What type of work are you doing? So, I mean, you can tailor your filter fast to any type. If you're a trade, you can tailor it to any type of work that you do. You can tailor it if you're a custom, any type. You know, car salesmen filter fast when you walk.
Yeah, totally, man. Totally.
You know, it's just, you just tailor it specifically to what you do, and it's actually like, I kind of applied a little bit of the your hiring process. Like, yeah, you know, I have the hiring system.
Yes, yes.
I modified that into my filter system, so now they get an application, you know, stuff like that to really filter.
Dude, that is wicked. So they actually are like, you're becoming the prize.
Yes.
True?
Yes.
100%. Love it. Love it. Okay. So, and some of the things that you did, just to touch on, then we'll move into the next point. Okay, guys, because again, I want you guys to, like, hey man, and for those that are champion CEOs, okay, part of this champion CEO family at PFC, go into the membership site, take a look at the filter fast training, just like Aaron did. Take it, tweak it, okay? Modify it, right? Don't reinvent the wheel. There's like 9 specific things that you want to consider as a baseline when filtering fast. For those that aren't, you know, part of the Champion CEO group, you know, if you want to get some insights on the filter fast tool, just type in filter fast, okay? And we'll keep moving on here. So one of the other things that we wanted to talk about was, you know, as far as some of the solutions you did, was you tighten things up from a communication perspective. True?
Yes.
So you were getting into, you know, I think one of the things that didn't happen was you didn't have that tempo of communication, right?
Yep.
Okay. So talk a little bit about, you started implementing really effective weekly. We'll talk about the type. Weekly, and even the one that Reeves did on the monthly, right? Like, and there's a lot of aspects of this, right? It's getting it's having the right tempo, the right communication with the right frameworks, but it's also having the right person run those meetings. True?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk first of all about the types of meetings that you put into play and the impact of them, and let's talk about Reeves and how you know, her as an example of being in the right role had an impact to the team.
So coming into 2018, we were still on the Monday morning meeting program, but I wasn't.
Some people, by the way, might not even know what the hell you're talking about.
Okay.
Just give me Cole's Notes version.
There's 5 money-making meetings. There's something you got to read on the Profit for Contractors site. 5 money-making
Beautiful,
meetings.
beautiful. Yeah.
Number one, if you only do one of the 5, it's got to be your Monday morning meeting. So we'll just get started there. So we had already been doing Monday morning meetings. I had at that time a project manager that facilitated the meeting, and I kind of sat in the background. I popped my 2 cents in. Okay, guys, blah blah blah. But he went over the project schedule and, you know, all of the stuff for the weeks, the materials you guys need. But you know, really it comes down to me. I hadn't trained him efficiently in doing that. I kind of, you know, sat in the background. And then, so when we started, or when Rebecca started doing these monthly meetings, she was able to actually get the guys' feedback and input on what works well, what doesn't. And one of the things came up is that in the Monday morning meetings, the lists that were given the guys are not detailed enough. You know, you can't just say, go to Smith Street and frame the deck. You need to say, go to Smith Street, lay out the footings, you know, install the ledger board with legs at 32-inch centers. We don't have legs, so they have to get, or, you know, like, so to break down the lists even further. So that was probably the biggest piece of gold that came out of those monthly meetings, was identifying that as a weak point, and then which allowed us to then step up our game to be able to provide the guys with the right information that they need, tons of information backed up by photos, drawings, whatever it needs to be, to clearly communicate what the outcome needs to be.
I love it. So it's not providing more info. You guys now, you know, define the outcome, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the things you said earlier when we were chatting was like, give them enough information, not that they can hurt themselves, but enough information that they can start making decisions on their own.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now, tell me, would you consider that a form of leadership?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Otherwise, what ended up happening?
Well, I had the project manager in place, so everything would boomerang back to him.
Yep.
And he would fill me in, all the problems we're having, and then I would strategize with him. All right, this is how we'll fix the problems, and then, you know, pass the buck back to him to, you know, implement those strategies. So
awesome, man. So now you put that in place. You guys also you guys put in place the Friday reflection, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that every week you could reflect to do what?
We can reflect and see, you know, basically progress report on the jobs that we have going on, what needs to be done next week, and then highlight key items that need to be addressed in the Monday morning meeting.
Dude, I love it. So really what started happening was that there's this flow, right? Right? One fed the other, right? So the Monday fed the Friday feeds the Monday. And then, you know, with Reeves having that monthly call, you know, tell me a little bit about how she enabled the team to actually come up with solutions.
She came up with a template of questions to facilitate a meeting. And Super Cole's notes on it is, hey guys, what's working good? What were our wins? Hey guys, what didn't work well last month? What were our losses or our challenges? And what needs to be improved upon, and whatever needs to be improved upon, how could we do that? So it allowed our team to identify stuff that we may have not thought was a big problem, that was more of a big problem for them, or vice versa, some things that we thought were a major issue for them, they're like, oh, that's not a big issue at all. So it allowed us to build a better environment of working together, and it empowered our team to see that, hey, these guys give a shit. And if I say, you know, we struggle with having enough light on the job, and those, you know, shitty LED lights that you have aren't that great, it would be good to get some string lights. Well, that goes in the meeting notes. Rebecca does the follow-up, make sure all that stuff gets delegated. And guess what? Next month when we have the meeting, the guys say, those lights are freaking awesome. We can see everything on the job site now.
I love it, dude. I love it. So like, I know this isn't everything, and you know, but I mean, as a whole, that also allowed you then to leverage some of the software. I know you use, I think it's CoConstruct and other things, and Trello. By the way, you guys, you want to write some of these things down. If you're a builder or doing like renovations, things of that nature, CoConstruct, good program. Trello, great checklist system. You guys use that, right?
Oh, I can't live without Trello, man.
Okay, so guys, it's a free software, Trello. You definitely want to get your hands on it, and you know, when you looked at that, I think some of the things that you guys did was you started off with the most simple things to start systemizing versus looking at the most complex thing, right?
Yep.
Okay. Beautiful.
Okay.
What's that?
The low-hanging fruit.
You got it. That's it. Low-hanging fruit. And tell people about this mindset before we move into the next. We're going to wrap things up here, guys, in just like 5 minutes. But tell me a little bit about the mindset of roughing it.
The mindset of roughing it.
Yeah, you always hear from somebody, hey, man, don't look for perfection. Rough it. Make progress.
Yeah. It's, I mean, you could bring it back to that ancient Chinese proverb of like, you know, what is it? A journey of 1,000 steps, you know, starts with one.
Yes.
If you just stand behind the line and keep strategizing, if I put my foot there, if I put it 2 degrees there, I'll have a better chance at my next step. You got to kind of like, you got to jump in and you got to start somewhere. And if you try to make a perfect system and then implement it, first of all, you spend way too much time trying to create this perfect system. And then when it comes time to implementation, it's not going to implement the way you think it is. So you're going to have to adapt it anyways, which then just creates more frustration. So it's baby steps. Pick one thing, rough it. And, you know, whether it is you download Trello and you say, okay, I'm going to put all the stuff I need to do next week in a checklist. Well, that's better than not downloading Trello and not doing a checklist. Then maybe after a couple of weeks using that checklist, you're like, I can modify my checklist this way. Oh, and now I have a checklist for office stuff and I have a checklist for job site stuff. Like, but if you never roughed it, if you never just took started something, then you would never have that opportunity to build upon it.
God, dude, that's awesome. Well said. Well said. Now, last little thing as far as like insights, like at certain points when you get into chaos, it's really difficult sometimes to get out of it, right? Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, you know, one of the things that you did was you faced the beast of, you know, starting to go deeper into understanding your numbers to help you know, you said earlier, like knowing your numbers is one thing, knowing the right numbers, you know, and accurate numbers. Tell us a little bit about, you know, just really briefly, like what were some of the dials, you know, that you would recommend for people to look at, and what are some of the things that they should be concerned about as far as, you know, looking at data that maybe is not accurate data. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I think one of the most important things you can do is look at a profit and loss statement. I know you guys have some training, or I've seen some videos or watched some of the continued education with profit for contractors about how to read a profit and loss statement.
Well, I mean, now we got Bob, right? We go over where we do the monthly KPI mastery call, right?
So this was pre-Bob.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the biggest thing was number one was to look at a profit and loss statement and understand where those numbers come from. And it really is not that complicated on the macro level. You have money coming in and money going out, and money going out is either an expense that you have to pay no matter what, or it's part of doing business, which is a cost of goods sold.
Love it. Love it. Okay, and that was a big impact for you, right? Because when you started looking at the cost of goods sold, it made you realize, you know, that it actually was a problem, right? Because you're looking at your numbers. So guys, if you're on this, if you're watching this, you know, it's so important that you look at your numbers. Otherwise, you're not going to know really what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
You're gonna hope, you're gonna think, you're gonna like, oh man, you know. And you know, what would you say to somebody that's a little bit scared or intimidated? You know, I know I was, man, when I was looking at it. I'll never forget, just really quickly, the first time somebody started going through it with me, and I was in this group, and there was like 30 people in the room, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I get it, I get it." And the guy up there, you know, he's going through this profit and loss statement, and literally, Aaron, my hands are sweating, and I'm freaking almost purple, and I'm like, I put up my hand, I don't get it, and the guy's like, "Yeah, yeah, it's really simple." I was like, "Oh, that just got under my skin." And then raise my hand again, I don't get it, but it's really simple. Everyone's like, "It's simple, it's simple." Like, how did you? I know for me, like I literally left the room, but thank God I married somebody called Jennifer, who's a chartered accountant. He said, "Hey, Andrew, I'll take some time and show this to you. Okay, you can ask as many questions as you want. Tell me, how did you push through to keep on looking at stuff, even when you didn't understand it, to start understanding it?"
Well, a big help was, again, the education sessions with profit for contractors, and the tools. Like, you always, everybody on PFC, know your numbers, know your numbers, know your numbers, know your numbers. Well, what does that mean? What numbers do I need to know? And and then you have to figure out, how do I get those numbers?
Yes.
When you get those numbers, how do I interpret, or how do I make decisions based upon those numbers?
Yes, totally, dude. Totally. Love it. So, but if somebody was sitting there going like, "But Aaron, I'm telling you, man, I'm really intimidated by it," what would you say to them? What would be the thing that would, if there was one thing that pushed them to go, just do that, just take this step, what would you say to them?
Yeah. If you're intimidated to look at the numbers, like you're in chaos, you're struggling, like, you can feel the financial tension without looking at a profit and loss statement. But if you're comfortable not like in that tension, then don't try to know your numbers. But if you want to be able to create any sort of solution or direction, kind of like the ostrich with his head in the sand.
Yes.
If you can't get your head out of the sand, you have no clue even what direction to go in.
Totally. So I think
start small.
Yes, that's it, dude.
Ask your bookkeeper for a profit loss statement.
So I think one of the things that you did, which you said, was you realized, like, running away from this is not going to make things better. It's going to make things worse. And you realize that other people in the community, okay, so anybody listening in on this, you're part of this community, right? Whether you're part of the Champion CEO group or you're not, you're listening in. So in this moment that you're listening in, I want you to know, and Aaron wants you to know, that you're not alone, okay? And you can learn these things. Would you agree, Aaron?
Oh, you can learn them because you're smart. You don't even know you're smart. Like, you're running a business, you're doing jobs, you're an entrepreneur, you're a leader. You probably don't even know that. I didn't know I was a leader at first. So you have all this hidden talent behind you. It's just, you're like, oh, I've never applied myself in this direction, but you do have the wherewithal between your ears to figure this out.
Totally, man. And I totally agree with you. I think a lot of people in the trades they take for granted how smart they are. I mean, whether you're a builder, whether you're a plumber, an electrician, whether you do spray foam, I mean, the intelligence that you need to do your trade, guys, I swear to God, is 2 or 3x easy what you need to have to learn this stuff. It's just, you're not aware of it, okay? Look, anybody listening on this that wants to get some help, okay, in this space, on their financials, you can just type in the word numbers, and listen, I'll get myself or one of my team members to reach out to you to help you, get that next step, even to go, hey, here's the next 2 or 3 steps. Okay, guys? I mean, seriously, because numbers are the language of business. And if you don't know your numbers, just like Aaron, you could putting in more hours, right, Aaron? Landing more clients is that going to solve the problem?
Well, I just thought of this, like a blueprint. Like, I look at a blueprint, and then I know what decisions to make, what needs to go where, if there's any, mechanical conflicts. Well, the same thing with looking at your numbers. If you don't look at the numbers, are the blueprint of your business, of how you make money. If you don't look at your blueprint of your business of how you make money, you're never going to figure out how to make money.
Dude, what freaking perfectly said. Okay, love it. We're going to start wrapping it up here. To wrap up this topic, which is the last topic we're going to be covering off here. What would you say would be the top dials in the dashboard? Like, just like your vehicle, but say for your business, what were some of the top dials that you would say that they need?
Number one is break-even margin,
Nice.
because there's no point in doing work that's unprofitable, because that's just going to stress you the F out.
Right. And your break-even margin, for everybody listening in, if you're part of the Champion CEO group and you just started out, that's one of the very first modules that we cover off, is getting you to understand your break-even margin, so that you're pricing your jobs profitably. You're pricing your jobs beyond just breaking even. Just you need to at a baseline know what you gotta sell and what to sell it at, to be able to make sure you have enough money to keep the lights on, guys. Right? Like, whether you get sales or not, you got to pay for all these expenses. So if you're not incorporating a break-even margin, and more importantly, right, Aaron, profit break even, right?
Yeah.
Then what would be another number?
So yeah, number one would be your break-even margin. The number two would probably be your, I don't know, cash flow.
Well, yeah, you nailed it, dude. You nailed it. So you gotta know your cash flow. Okay, let me just put a couple in here, guys. This isn't everything. This isn't all of them, but at least this is the core, right? And your cash flow, you definitely got to know your sales.
Yeah.
You got to know your net profit. Okay, and a sub of that, guys, is you definitely want to know your gross profit, right? You want to make sure that what you're pricing, right, over here, this sucker here better not be the same, otherwise you're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah.
Right. So, guys, you want to know these dashboard items. There's so many other dashboards you want to know, but these are the baselines. If you don't know those things, you can't make the right decision. So, with that being said, you started looking at your numbers. You realized that you were able to, this last point, I'll just make the point on this. You were able to realize that you could increase your pricing, right, bro?
Yes.
To decrease your freaking conversion rate, to increase big time your profits.
Yes.
And decrease significantly your stress, your chaos, and put way up your control. Would you agree?
Yes.
Dude, that's seems like a
and
zigzagger.
The other thing I would just add to, on top of conversion rate, another arrow that would go beside that up to profits would be the efficiency of the team. Because even if you win a bunch of profitable work, scared the shit out of me the first time you said this, Houston, but if the guys, this literally happened, we racked a door on a job site, it was $1,000 to replace. At a 10% profit margin, that's a $10,000 of work I got to do to make up for that mistake. So that would be like an efficiency of the team. So getting
just example, guys, $1,000, like Aaron said, cost of a door, at a 10%, net profit. If he was lucky to be making 10% net profit, he was just saying, great example. He'd have to get $10,000 in sales
to pay for that door and make no money.
Just to pay. Right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. And you didn't make anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was happening in chaos, guys. Think about this. Chaos happens all the time. Oh, the guys are 15 minutes late. Oh, I'm just going to go pick up another board. Oh, I forgot that. Oh, put the wrong door in. Oh, okay. That's no big deal. We'll just put another door in. No. It is a massive deal, right?
Yes.
Totally, guys. Okay. And you can just see it, guys. Like, wrapping this up is this. You can see that, he reduced significantly his sales, and he increased significantly his profits. And you're like, what? So, guys, net, okay, anybody listening in on this, if your brain is still focusing on sales, you gotta stop. The very first place you gotta start focusing on is, how much profit do I want to make? Right, guys? And then start working your way backwards to go, okay, well, what would have to change for me to make that profit? Not how much sales am I going to get? Oh, I need to get more sales. No. If your eyes are not focused in on the right thing, you're going to be blinded by the wrong thing. Okay. So Aaron, net, as far as the change to your life, we've been talking a lot about the business. What are some of the things that this allowed you to do in 2019 as far as vacations, time with the family? Let's just talk about that.
Well, both my kids got braces, so that
Nice.
there's a winner chicken dinner.
Yeah.
Rebecca and I went on 2 vacations to Jamaica last year, one with the kids, one without. You know, a lot of it really revolved around that, spending, you know, family time and making memories together. You know, we did a little winter vacation, like a snow vacation. I was able to take time off and go up north for a fall hunting vacation.
With your son, right?
With my son, yeah. We were able to do, you know, a little bit of home renos and upgrades. And then the other cool thing was in the summer, I think about 6 or 7 weeks out of the summer, I worked 4-day work weeks.
Hear this, guys? During the busiest time for Aaron, he said 6 weeks. You worked 4-day work week, 4-day work week, right?
Yeah.
You know, how's that possible, dude?
That because I had a good team in place. Like, even though I had the chaos and the 19 wasn't as bad as 18, but I had someone. The guys had the list. They knew exactly what needed to be done. Everything was all clearly communicated between like our in-house labor, the sub trades. Everything's, you know, unified in the system that we'd onboarded with co-construct. And communication channels were diverted in the right directions that I didn't have to touch everything.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Dude, listen, how do you see 2020, man? Still early in the year, but how do you see 2020?
2019 being my best year yet. I'm looking to repeat with gained efficiencies. So there's a couple little things we won't get into that are reducing my cost of goods sold again this year. Yep. Some other things that we are going to be implementing to more increase my efficiency and buy back some of my time to work on the business to, again, create these, you know, to understand better and direct my team and become a better leader.
I love it, man. I think one of the big things that you did was, you know, guys, you create your future, you know, and Aaron's been, you didn't mention this in too much detail, but Aaron's been, you know, a great example of somebody that is driven to constantly better himself, to become a champion CEO of his business, of his life. You know, we all have challenges. You know, he you know, stepped it up and getting help in so many different ways, getting help for his business, getting help for himself, right? You know, guys, I've done this too. It's been the best thing I ever did was, you know, I heard this guy, I don't know if you guys ever heard of him. I know you're a big fan, Aaron, of this man, good old Jim Rohn, right? Work harder on yourself, right, than you do your business. That means really my interpretation is, you know, work harder on, you know, your mindset and your beliefs. You can do these things. Aaron did them. I did them. Hundreds and hundreds of other contractors are doing it. All you guys in the Champion CEO group, you know, you guys, you know, if you haven't done it already, you have the ability, you have the tools, you have the templates, you have the resources. Reach out in the Champion CEO group, you know, for those that are part of you know, of this family, and ask for help. And for those of you that are listening in, if you're in the, you know, in a different group, like contractor tips group, or whatever, guys, raise your hand. Okay, raise your hand. Don't go decades, don't go years, don't go months. Hey, Aaron, I'm just struggling when it's like, wait, somebody can just pull you back and go, whoa.
Yeah.
Hey, man, no question, you're a freaking hard worker. Just like, start here. Yeah, but I want it. No, start here. And then it's a domino effect. So any last words, bro?
I would just say, like, it's possible, man. I went from total, like, losing my mind, losing money to making money and not losing my mind and having that. And I didn't really think, you know, I'd seen other, you know, success stories in the Champion CEO group. There's some awesome dudes that I've got some great friendships with. and I've seen them walk the same road. And, you know, that was encouraging for me because it shows you that, like, okay, like, I know that guy and he did it, and him and I, you know, are alike. So, you know, I can do it too. So you can do it. You have to be, you know, like you talked about, like strategic on where you start so that you can get the domino effect, because the domino effect is huge. And guess what? The first domino is like, it's nothing. It's the easiest thing. It's like, take something on your calendar, Monday morning meeting.
That's it. Well, and here's the template. Here's the agenda. Take the thing. Just follow the steps. Really, that's it. Just follow. Like, you can start the meeting, look at the thing as you're talking to your team, and actually, you know, and go through it. And trust me, guys, your team. You know, I think this might be a last little thing. Limiting belief, like, oh, my team doesn't want this, guys. Your team does not want chaos.
No.
Okay.
No,
they don't.
They want to be part of it. They want to.
Yes.
They want to feel that camaraderie. Like we're all the same. We're all on the same team here.
I love it, man. Listen, I'm so proud of you, bro. Big hugs. Okay, man. And definitely, you know, can't wait to hook up with you. Have a couple of pints and maybe some of that scotch again. Just so we can stay out of trouble. Listen, man.
Not a trouble part, but we can have some scotch.
I love it. So listen, have a great weekend, bro. I love you, man. We'll catch you on the flip. Thank you for your abundance, dude, and sharing. All right, catch you later. Ciao.